Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 4 of the Monday Q&A. So let's do it. What and how much stretching should I be doing on your novice program? The amount of stretching you need to be doing as a novice really is going to vary a lot from person to person. I do think everyone who trains should be doing some type of stretching. I would prefer people do a little bit of dynamic type stretching to warm up, but general stretching and mobility is important. I would say for most people, if you need something fairly aggressive because you do seem to have some mobility issues, I'm a big fan of DeFranco's Agile 8, as I mentioned before. I think that for anyone on my novice program, if you're struggling at all with flexibility, I think DeFranco's program there will sort you out. I'm pretty sure he has it on a couple of YouTube channels or videos. And I know he's got it up on his main website. You guys can find it really easy because he's a big, well-known athletic trainer. I think it will meet your needs. So it should sort out any mobility problems you have while running the novice program, unless you have something really medically wrong that needs to be assessed directly by a professional. But all of you need to be doing some basic stretching. You need to be stretching your hamstrings. You should be doing some basic shoulder dislocates. Particularly shoulder stuff with bands is great. You should be doing a little bit no matter what. Third wall squats for your hips. So don't neglect it, guys. Alright, next question. Hip rising too fast on the deadlift. Also add core exercises that be done using free weights and continue to achieve progressive overload. Alright, if your hips are rising too fast on your deadlift, it's your whole mental cueing is wrong and your setup is wrong. You need to learn to do some sort of hip drop to pull back onto your heels and pull backwards instead of up. Or you need to do a bar roll to get you into the motion of pulling back. So if your hips are rising, it's because you have the entirely wrong mental cue. You're probably too far over the bar. And you are pretty much letting the weight pull you forward when you try to start instead of pulling back. Because if you pull back over the heels and you break the weight off of the floor first before you engage your hips, that means you have the correct mental cueing. Your hips shouldn't be rising. So you need to just start over what you're doing from square one with a lighter weight. This is something you really only see with novice deadlifters. And it can be sorted very easily. You just have to change your technique around and learn to pull backwards and use those mental cues I was talking about. Either do the hip drop like you guys see me do in my videos, or you need to do some sort of bar roll, but you need some sort of mental cue to get you to pull backwards and pull your shoulders back before you let your hips come up. That needs to initiate the pull off the floor. And you rock back onto the heels. And as far as basic ab stuff, just on the chest plate crunches or behind the neck crunches. Just laying on the floor doing crunches that way, that can give you almost limitless progression. You can just, especially with the chest, you can keep adding smaller plates, and then when you get past using a big 45 or 20 kilo plate, you can go to a plate behind your head and just work up with progressive plates. It's really, really easy. Alright, next question. Shaping muscles with isolation plus high reps. It's BS, right? As far as the shaping aspect, absolutely. Absolutely. You cannot change the structural shape of a muscle. What a muscle is shaped like is largely going to be dependent upon its basic structure, which you can't change. And the way it looks is really going to be a combination of how big you make it while maintaining that same shape, how big or small it gets, how much fat you have covering it, how much water you have between the muscle and your skin, and even how much muscle the water is holding. In fact, a muscle is going to have better shape when it's full of water, which is generally caused by it being full of glycogen and electrolytes. Now, there is something to be said for doing very high rep training, for training a muscle to hold a little more glycogen with transient storage factors, but this is very, very temporary. It's not something that you're going to do a bunch of high reps and maintain it for 2 or 3 weeks and maintain that. It's something that you're only going to train the muscle to do for a very short period of time. So it's kind of stuff you add in for peaking. But even how useful that is really subjective. So all in all, really is kind of a myth. It is a myth. And there's long explanations of how this myth developed and got started. I can't cover it in a Q&A, but there's a lot that you can find on this if you dig around and do some reading. And it particularly has to do with where these myths start of using high reps to cut up. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.